Hello and welcome to this video. We're on Gran Turismo Sport today. It's Group 1 and it's at Spa. Really good combination. We haven't had a lot of practice this week actually because been at work and just not had the time really. We've had 2 attempts today so far. The first one we had a power cut on lap 2, so that kicked us out the race. We lost SR for that as well, so had to do a few daily races. And then the second race, my cat sat on the remote, so we ended up qualifying down near towards the back, so that wasn't a great race either. So now we're on our last attempt, and let's hope we can get a slightly better result for this one. So let's have a look at the grid then. And I've managed to qualify in 4th place, 2 tenths behind the leader. And to be honest, I'm a bit disappointed with that. I should be right down in low 155 or even pushing for a 144.9. So yeah, disappointed with that qualifying lap, as there's definitely a bit more pace in the car. But nevertheless, we're going to get on with this race then. We're in the bright green Audi R18. And it's going to be an interesting race, this one. There's going to be lots of battery saving tactics we're going to need to do. And if you want to see a video on how to save the battery in the R18, then check out my previous post. So away we go then. Traction control on 1 as always to get away, and we've had quite a good start as we head down into turn 1. But then suddenly we get a big barge from our right hand side. We end up on the horrible rumble strip. There's absolutely no grip out there and we lose a load of places. So let's have a quick look at that turn 1 incident and see what happened. So we're on board with Kart here, and I think he just basically brakes too late. He tries to avoid the cars, but there's nowhere for him to go. Yeah, and he ended up just sort of punting, and we get hit as a result. But he does pick up a 2-second penalty there, so the penalty system is working. So top of the row rouge then, we have to go wide, and we managed to get past 2 cars there, but because we've overtaken technically off the track limits, as we have to get out of the way of someone serving a penalty, we do get a half-second track limit penalty, which we're going to have to serve on the next lap. So going through this tricky section then down into the downhill braking zone for the hairpin, and I really should learn what a lot of these corner names are really, because it makes commentary a lot easier rather than just saying left turn, right turn. Anyway, yeah, so we're up to 7th place then, obviously having lost that that number of positions at the start of the race. So coming through here, I do know this one, this is called Pouon, and we switch to the outside, which gives us the inside for the next corner, side by side as we turn in, and we get that move done. So past the Red Bull liveried Audi of the Italian driver there, and now we're back up to 6th place. So down to 10th, back up to 6th, and it's not been a quiet first lap in any sense. But fortunately we haven't now lost too many places, so we are just still in the slipstream range of P5 up ahead. So it's kind of damage limitation really. As you can see, the Italian has already dropped back quite a long way. So coming into the final few corners then, and if you look at the yellow Audi just up ahead, he dives down into the pit lane. So this tells me that he's starting on the hard tyres. So this race, there's not a lot of tyre wear, and we've got the soft, medium and hards available, but the softs will last the whole race. But the hard tyres are required to be put on at some point during the race. So that means that everyone will do 1 lap on the hards, and that will either be the first lap of the race or the last lap of the race. So that driver there was just obviously getting them done as early as he can, and he will be a threat towards the end of the race. So coming up to serve our penalty then, just a half-second penalty, so we don't lose too much time. We're still going to be quite close up to Clevin up ahead, and hopefully we'll look to give him a bit of a challenge as we head deeper into this race. So jumping forwards then onto the end of lap 3, and you can see the gap is about 7 tenths, so we're just in the slipstream range. And as I was saying earlier, this race is going to be all about how well you can manage the battery if you're using the Audi. So I developed quite a good technique of braking early and coming off the throttle late, and this just really helps to save the battery. So you'll see here, well, that wasn't particularly great out of the last corner then, as we get a big kick of oversteer, but you'll be able to see coming out of turn 1 just how much it has helped that I've been able to save the battery. Okay, so both get a good exit from turn 1, and you can see here the car up ahead has now run out of its battery power, but we have a little bit more, and that enables us to close right up to the back of him. So as we head onto the straight then, we're just going to have quite a decent overspeed. Although we're going to be out onto the outside for the next corner, it doesn't really matter as we get the move done in a straight line and dive down into the corner ahead. So back up to P4 then, exactly where we started. We're 5 seconds behind the leader, and there's just over 2.5 seconds to close up to P3 and potentially challenge for a podium as we go towards the midpoint in this race. So coming around the corner then to end lap 4 and begin lap 5, we set the fastest lap of the race, and we're 2.9 seconds back, so it looks like we've lost a little bit of time, but the reason for this is that we are saving a lot of battery during the final sector. So now as we come out of turn 1, you'll see just how effective that battery saving has been. And if you look to the delta between myself and the car up ahead, it was 2.9 as we crossed the start finish line, and now it's 2.4, coming down all the time, and by the end of this straight then we're going to be 2.3 seconds behind, and clearly starting to gain quite a bit of time on those cars ahead. It does look very close. We can see first and second place as well, so we just need to get our head down now we're in clear air and see if we can close that gap up to the leaders and challenge them for position further on in the race. So as we cross the line to begin lap number 8 then, we're 1.1 seconds behind, so we haven't actually had the best last couple of laps. It's taken a little bit longer to catch up than we would have liked, but here again you'll see the power of the battery that we've been able to save. So within a second now, as P2 then gets a half-second penalty, probably for track limits, but I'm not 100% sure on that one, and he's going to be serving it straight away. So this is going to give the Bahraini driver a chance to overtake, looking into the fast sweeping section, but he's unable to go for that move. But we have closed up right onto the back of these two now, so just under 6 laps to go, and yeah, it's getting really interesting at this point in the race. It looks like the leader has started to make a bit of a run for it, so kind of checking out at this moment. We do have good pace though. I think, you know, you can see there we've still got the fastest lap at this point in the race, and you know the laps are going to start getting quicker as the fuel gets burnt and the tyres are still in really good condition. But yeah, we're clearly one of the fastest cars out there, and very frustrating that we're not a little bit further up at this point in the race. So again, you can see we're holding back a little bit through this final sector, really saving the battery as best we can, coming out of the last corner then hoping for a good exit, and we do get a good exit. And yeah, it's going to be all about how much battery we have coming out of turn 1 in comparison to the driver up ahead. So we take a nice tight line through there, a little bit of oversteer, but we managed to deal with it. And here you'll just be able to see the closing speed we have due to the battery, as you can see. Grace in the background there. So coming onto the straight then, again we're going to have to be moving to the outside as the Bahraini driver defends the inside. And if we look to the mirror just at the top of the screen then, we're side by side, just about past, late on the brakes, and we get that move done. So up into a podium position now as we get towards the later stages in this race then, and still looking very promising. We've got the we've definitely got the pace on this driver up ahead, so we're going to need to see if we can get a move done and get a good result in this race. So the end of lap 10 then, and we're going to have a chance again coming out of turn 1 on the driver up ahead, providing that we've been able to manage the battery more effectively than he has, which, to be honest, we've been doing better than most drivers in the race at this point. So unfortunately we go a little bit deep though into turn 1, which compromises our exit, but we do get a better acceleration due to having a bit more battery at this point, but it's going to be a little bit too late, I think, by the time we catch up to the back of him. And you can see here we are closing quite quickly, but as these cars reach their top end, they kind of equal out a little bit. So we're side by side at this point. I do manage to just about get ahead, but he's very, very late on the brakes, and he gets that move done. So he's just in a slightly better position going into that corner than I was there. And unfortunately we weren't able to get the move done on this lap, so we need to try and get it done now. We've only got 2 laps left to go, but he is, you know, he's got quite a big gap again going into lap number 12, and again coming out of turn 1 he just has a big enough of a gap that we're unable to make enough ground on him coming down the hill. You can see we have managed to start closing in on him, and we're going to pick up the slipstream. But by the time we get to him, we're going to be near the end of the straight, so we're going to have to either go very, very late on the brakes. So we're going to go to the outside, do a little switch back, and he does kind of make a little second move there, but we weren't really close enough to go for that move anyway. So yeah, it's going to come down to the last lap then, really. But we do need to make our pit stop, of course. So we're very, very close this time as we head down into the final couple of corners. He covers off the inside, and then we're both going to dive into the pit lane, and he nearly missed it, but he managed to get it done onto the hard tyres then. So these are going to not be particularly great in terms of grip on the last lap. Coming out of the pit lane, and again you can see he's just got that gap on us. I don't think we're going to be able to go for a move as we get up to the top of the hill past Del Rouge. There's just not enough time to make up that gap, so our last opportunity is going to be towards the end of the lap and potentially going into the last couple of corners then. But as we get on the brakes, we just underestimate how much grip we're going to have, and unfortunately we go a little bit deep. Now we're getting under attack from Angelov behind, and he was the driver who pitted on lap 1, so he was ahead of us at the start of the race, pitted on lap 1 on those hard tyres, and he's obviously had some decent clear air to to put some decent laps in, and he's right here in with a chance of getting past. So side by side then as we go into the final corners, I'm as late on the brakes as I absolutely can be. It turns into a bit of a slide, we get a kick of oversteer, but that gives us the outside for the final corner, and as we cross the line then we lose that position and end up in 4th place. So very, very disappointed with that then. Losing a position through the final corner in any race isn't the best feeling, but when you lose a podium, it's just that little bit worse. Considering the carnage on lap 1 though, 4th place is still a solid result, and 273 points is a decent amount too, so a good first outing for this season in the Nations Cup. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did enjoy it, give it a like, and feel free to subscribe if you haven't already. I'll be trying to do as many of the FIA races as I can this season, and also posting some real life footage very soon too. Okay, bye.